All right, today we are jumping right in and doing a deep dive on RIVN, ticker IRVN. We've seen some absolutely incredible movement with this stock lately, and what we're going to do is break down exactly what the charts and all the technical data are really telling us.
So look, there's no question the stock's been on a tear, showing some serious upward momentum. But the headline move, that's never the full picture, is it? The big question we've got to ask is, does all the underlying data actually support this run? Or are there some warning signs hiding just under the surface? That's what we're here to figure out.
So let's ground ourselves with the most important number on the board, the closing price, $15.42. That's our anchor point for this entire analysis.
Now, when you crunch all the numbers and look at a whole suite of technical indicators, the stock gets an overall score of 66.1. Think of it like a grade for its technical health. And that score, it points to a moderately bullish condition. So yeah, the overall picture is positive, but it's not exactly a screaming off-the-charts buy. Let's dig in and see why.
First up, let's make the case for the bulls. And honestly, there are some really powerful signals here suggesting this uptrend definitely has legs.
Okay, so this is the first thing that just jumps right off the page. The current price is trading above every single key moving average. I'm talking from the super short-term 5-day all the way out to the long-term 200-day. For any technical analyst, this is one of the cleanest, strongest signs you can get of a healthy, established uptrend. It's a really big deal. And this chart just shows you exactly what I'm talking about. You can see the price sitting pretty at $15.42, well above that 200-day moving average, which is way down at $13.15. That gap between them, that represents a really significant buffer, and it just screams long-term momentum. Oh, and it doesn't stop there, not even close. We've got a MACD bullish crossover, a classic buy signal. The Arun up indicator is pegged at a perfect 100%, which is basically shouting that the trend is strong. The trend and momentum scores are both firmly in positive territory. Even the more obscure stuff, like the MAMA and FAMA indicators, are lined up perfectly. It's just a cascade of green lights, all pointing up. But, and there's always a but, right, this is where the plot thickens. If it were that simple, everyone would just be piling in. So now, let's flip the coin and look at the conflicting signals, the things that are telling analysts, hey, maybe pump the brakes a little. This is what I find fascinating. We've got a real puzzle on our hands when it comes to volume. There are two key indicators here telling completely opposite stories. On one hand, you've got on-balance volume, the OBV, and it suggests accumulation, that big money is buying in. But on the other hand, you have the accumulation/distribution line, the AD, and it's suggesting the exact opposite, distribution or selling pressure. When these two disagree, it's a major red flag. And that contradiction points to the possibility of something called a volume trap. This is a super tricky situation. It's where the price is moving up, sure, but the move isn't actually being backed by strong, broad participation from the market. It makes you wonder if this whole rally is just, well, running on fumes. And if that wasn't enough to make you pause, the source material explicitly calls this out. Key indicators like the Relative Strength Index, the RSI, are flashing overbought. And what that means is the buying has been really aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive, too quickly. Now, hearing overbought sounds scary, I get it. But it doesn't automatically mean the stock is about to fall off a cliff. The best way to think about it is like a sprinter who's just about to hit the finish line. They're still moving incredibly fast, maybe the fastest they've been the whole race, but you just know deep down they can't possibly maintain that peak speed forever. It's a sign of potential exhaustion. Okay, so we've got this strong trend on one side and these serious warning signs on the other. How in the world do you make sense of all that? Well, we turn to the chart and we pinpoint the key price levels, the battlegrounds where the bulls and the bears are about to go to war. And here they are. These are the numbers you're going to want to watch. The first ceiling, or what we call resistance, is at $16.43. If the bulls can smash through that, the next target is the 52-week high at $17.15. Now, on the downside, the first floor or support is at $14.84. These are the critical lines in the sand that are going to define the stock's next move. Okay, let's pull all these threads together. Based on everything we've just looked at, the powerful trend, that tricky volume puzzle, the overbought signals, we can actually sketch out 3 potential scenarios for where our RIVN goes from here. So, scenario 1, the bullish case. The stock powers right through that 1643 resistance level and makes a run for the yearly high.
Simple. Scenario 2, the bearish case. It gets up to that same 1643 level and just fails. That rejection would likely lead to a pullback towards support, maybe around 1484. And finally, you've got the neutral scenario, where the stock just kind of chops sideways for a while, letting those overbought indicators cool down a bit.
So which one is most likely? Well, based on the current data, the analysis puts a 55% probability on the bullish scenario. At the end of the day, the trend is just so strong, and that's the dominant factor right now. But there's still a very significant 30% chance of that pullback, and a smaller 15% chance it just goes nowhere for a bit. And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? The trend is your friend, and right now, RIVN's trend is undeniably powerful. But those warning signs, especially that volume puzzle and the overbought readings, they are crystal clear. So the whole story comes down to this. Will that sheer momentum be enough to blast through resistance at 1643, or are those cautionary signals right and a pullback is basically inevitable? The answer is going to tell us everything about the next chapter for RIVN stock.